saying this for a couple of weeks now. When people ask, do you support the FS plan? Do you support the Soccer City plan? Do you support the Manchester plan? Do you support the San Diego State plan? I'm not really concerned about supporting any of them. I'm more concerned about all of us finding the best solution, like Ernie Hahn was just saying, the best solution for the city. And I actually think it's quite a good thing that San Diego State came out yesterday and explained their position. This is what we want. This is what we need. And I think that some people have read the comments from J.D. Wicker and others who are working on the San Diego State side, and they tend to think that maybe San Diego State is puffing up their chest a little bit like, hey, you guys figure it out. We told you what we want. Now you guys figure it out, because without us, you're not getting it done. Now, I'm not sure that's exactly the way J.D. meant his comments. We'll ask him. Here he is. J.D. Wicker is the athletic director at San Diego State, and he's standing by on the Corky's hotline, and he's back on Scott and BR. Hi, J.D.
Hi, Scott. Hi, BR. How's
it going? Great. How you doing?
I am doing well, thank you.
Great.
Yeah. How's things going up there? I mean, for us as fans, not having San Diego State in the NCAA tournament, it's just, I gotta say, I'm not even anywhere near as interested in the NCAA tournament. How you guys all doing up there?
There's a lot of people wandering around the building, not sure what to do, because generally we're not here in March. No, the basketball coaches are out recruiting and getting after it, and the rest of us have moved on to, spring sports and getting ready for getting those guys off, and then, starting to think about football for next season and soccer and volleyball and all that. Great win last night over Long Beach State for the baseball team.
How much of your time now as athletic director at San Diego State is spent on what we're about to talk about, and that is Mission Valley, Qualcomm site, development, et cetera, et cetera? How much of your time is spent on this?
It comes and goes a little bit, but recently quite a bit.
Okay. So, JD, now that the president of the university has resigned and will be moving on in the summer, are you now the lead negotiator, if you will, on behalf of San Diego State?
No, we've got a great team put together that's been working on this, for the past year plus. Obviously, there's been, some people moving in, some people moving out, and obviously, Elliot moving on is, a bump in the road for us, but excited for him, and we've got a great team around us, and that team will continue moving forward.
Okay, so yesterday you guys San Diego State comes out with their list of desires for the Mission Valley Qualcomm site. And you were quoted in the paper as saying this. I'll read it to you, and I'm curious to know how people interpreted it versus maybe what you meant. And here it is. Quote, now it's incumbent upon the mayor and other people to figure out how we get to what San Diego State sees as its needs in Mission Valley. The way people read that was, okay, so, JD, you think it's on other people to figure out how to get you guys with what you want. What do you say about that comment?
And I've said it a lot as we've moved through this process, is we're interested in partnering. So that may have been, maybe I misspoke a little bit, but, we've had lots of conversations with lots of folks, and we were very happy that, Mayor Faulkner, a proud Aztec, invited us down to City Hall yesterday so that we could, talk about what it is that we see as a vision for San Diego State in the short term as we talk a football stadium, and in the long term as we talk about what's best for the university and moving our mission forward. And, our goal is to work with, as Ernie Hahn said, the best and the brightest in San Diego, to bring forward a plan for Mission Valley that's the best for the overall community. Obviously, we have some strong feelings about that because we feel San Diego State as an institution is an important part of San Diego.
I think we would all agree with that. Let me ask you this. All these needs that you guys released yesterday, when did they become so important? In other words, was this list of needs or desires, was this available 2, 3, 4 months ago, or is this something you guys have just put out? Because I think most of us assumed that you guys had been talking to and dealing with the FS investors along the way.
These are discussion points that we've had all along. Obviously the stadium piece has been very important, and that's obviously long been a discussion point. And then the fact that we need space to grow San Diego State. Nothing in this list should be new to anybody that we've talked with.
I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is because there are people, I talk to everybody, JD, and I want to know as much about this as I can so that what we could do on the radio is present all sides and let people try and, help figure out how we can all get, some resolution, how everybody can be happy. Obviously people look back and they go, well, wait a second. Didn't San Diego State want to partner in a stadium with the Chargers? Well, if that were the case, in theory, then the land might not be available for San Diego State to expand. You understand the question? Like, you guys were talking about putting up $100 million when the Chargers were talking about building a stadium. Well, not really the Chargers. You guys were talking about that. But now this seems very different, all of a sudden, this list of needs.
Yeah, I think the mayor brought forward the opportunity for us and the county to work with him on a plan that hopefully the Chargers would work with our group on and find something that would work on an NFL stadium. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what the rest of the property, what they were looking at for the rest of the property and how that would be developed. I don't know that any conversation along those lines ever advanced.
Right. In other words, it could have just been a stadium. I mean, you could have theoretically just put $100 million into only a stadium.
Right. And you look at what the Chargers proposed back in 05, 06. Mm-hmm. They proposed a stadium, an NFL stadium with development around it. Now, again, I don't know that ever was a topic of conversation with the discussions in December. But yes, at that point, we were just talking about a stadium.
So now you guys are talking about the possibility of a college football stadium, 35,000 seats, expandable to 40,000 seats. You're talking about a San Diego State football stadium down at Mission Valley, right? Not a soccer / football. You guys are more concerned with a football stadium, as I read your desires. Would you agree with that?
We want to build a stadium, and we would like for it to be multi-use. I've said all along I would love to partner with someone on a stadium to bring the maximum number of events that we can, because one, quite frankly, it helps our bottom line. If the more events we bring in, the more we're putting towards our operational costs, the more revenue we're generating, the more opportunities for the citizens of San Diego to have something fun and unique to do. So I think it's we've talked about we can move forward if we have to, but whatever we do, we're going to build it in such a way that, if MLS soccer doesn't happen now and it happens in a couple years, then we're ready to host that. If it's, a National Lacrosse League, or I think when I was at Georgia Tech, somebody reached out to me about Frisbee golf. There's a professional Frisbee golf. So, there's lots of opportunities out there.
All right, we're talking to J.D. Wicker.
Frisbee golf.
The San Diego State Athletic Director. Have you guys already started to design or get some renderings or even perhaps started to raise money so that San Diego State could build a stadium that could have a partner? Have you guys even begun that process?
We have not talked to any architects specifically about a stadium at this point. We've got consultants as we look at other institutions around the country that have built stadiums recently that are similar sized and what that might look like. We've been having general discussions with our, fans and donors about the potential for a stadium as we move forward. So we're excited to, hopefully start working on something sooner rather than later.
Okay, we're talking to J.D. Wicker. He's the athletic director at San Diego State. Let me ask you this. Hypothetical. Let's say this whole FS investor thing doesn't happen, right? Let's say the deal never works. Let's say they get the signatures, it goes to city council. City council says, no way, not happening. It's got a vote, and maybe it doesn't even pass a vote. Just work with me hypothetically, okay? You with me?
I am with you.
What would happen to San Diego State football? I mean, could you guys build a stadium and be playing in it by 2020?
Hypothetically, having been through the building process before and all of the hoops that you have to jump through, I think right now 3 years is probably a minimum time frame if you're starting from scratch. So I think it would, 3 years. So would it be 2020 conceivably? Sure, if you started today.
Yeah, well, obviously we're not starting anything today.
No, nobody is.
Have you heard from any teams that you guys have scheduled? Does anybody have an objection to playing football games in Petco Park?
We have not advanced any discussions like that with anyone, nor have we heard from anyone.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder about that, because the field and how tight it could be. And I mean, look, Cal did it. Cal did it up at AT&T Park, as you might recall, a few years ago when they were renovating their stadium.
Right.
And yep. Pac-12 schools like USC and UCLA, they had to play there. But you wonder about opponents in the future, and I don't know what years it would be that you guys would be in Petco if it went that direction. But would a Stanford or would an Arizona State, would they say, we don't want to play there? I'm just curious about that.
I don't think so. I mean, whatever the Padres are going to do, they're looking at the Holiday Bowl as well. So they're going to build something. They're going to renovate to make sure it's something that fits whatever NCAA, rules and particulars as far as the field are going to be. I mean, you've seen that Wrigley had some real issues when they hosted, and they've now renovated, and they're going to be able to host football games again. So whatever we do, it will be a football playing surface that's safe.
JD, I think a lot of us perceived, I'm using past tense, that San Diego State, the FS investor team, and the mayor had all been having some meetings, and that's how this FS plan got to where it was when the Chargers moved out of town. It wasn't happening in the last week. It was happening over the last couple of years. I know that you're still relatively new to the job at San Diego State, but was San Diego State and FS, were you guys meeting, and was there talk of partnership not long ago?
There have been lots of discussions over the past year plus, I believe, with FS, but then, with other folks as well, as we, look to see what is the best option in Mission Valley. And again, we're not taking the short range view of this is just a stadium project. This is so much more than a stadium project. This is really the center of San Diego if you look at Mission Valley and where it stretches north to south. And we're in the heart of San Diego, so let's make sure that we do something that's great for the community. And we do feel strongly that, higher education is something that's of great value to a community. And so we want to be a part of a development in Mission Valley.
Can a deal be worked out, in your opinion, between you, meaning San Diego State, and the FS group that seems to have at least some momentum right now?
We're going to continue talking to everybody, and we were excited to be able to talk with the mayor the other day and outline what it is that, we see in our vision, and we'll continue moving forward with folks and, trying to create the best project in Mission Valley that we can.
Are you also talking at all to another San Diego State guy, Doug Manchester, who came up with his idea, which is more about attracting an NFL football team and having a stadium that perhaps would accommodate Power 5 caliber football? Have you guys spoken to him or his people?
I have not talked with his group since their latest version came out a couple weeks ago.
Gotcha. Well, this is really interesting stuff. I mean, it's totally fascinating because, San Diego State, I read some of the things that were said that, you guys would like to expand from 35,000 students to 50,000 students. And if you're going to do that, you got to have all this space where you're going to put everybody. And the other part of it is creating an environment, right? I mean, one thing Qualcomm Stadium, unfortunately, could never do was really create a college football environment. But if the stadium were on campus and people could park there and walk there and then have things to do afterwards, I mean, that sounds like real big-time college football.
Yeah, I mean, obviously on campus would be ideal. Unfortunately, we already talk about we're pretty landlocked right now, hence, the need for property in Mission Valley.
Well, that's my point, is that it would be part of the campus, the way you guys see it.
Exactly, yeah, as you're moving into Mission Valley and, and an intimate stadium with lots of things to do around the stadium. I mean, I love the concept of a sports and entertainment district. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Again, is Ernie Hahn talks about his building being the 60th busiest in the world. Well, I want our stadium to be the 60th, if not more, busiest stadium in the world. I want to bring as many events as we possibly can in here, because that's positive for the community as well as positive for San Diego State and whoever our partner might be, if we have a partner at that point.
What's the plan? Last thing, what's the plan for San Diego State now? You've expressed to the mayor what you guys see for the future of the school and the need for expansion. What will you guys do next? Because obviously the FS guys are under the gun to get this MLS franchise, and they're out there collecting signatures now, and they've got political relationships, as you're well aware. So what does San Diego State do now?
We continue talking to those folks that are interested in talking to us. Obviously, we sat with the mayor yesterday, and we'll wait to, hear back from the mayor on, his thoughts on what we presented and, what might be next steps moving forward.
Are you talking? Because we've had the FS guys,
Oh, yeah.
And every time we ask them, well, are you at least talking to San Diego State? They seem to make it seem that they seem to say that, we're trying, but all of a sudden they don't want to talk to us anymore. Is that fair? Is that accurate? What do you think?
Again, we're talking to everybody. So it's, moving through and having conversations with folks. So we've had conversations with varieties of people.
All right, J.D. Wicker. Well, it's good to talk to you, man. Thank you. You know what we got to do? One thing we got to do is, and this is has nothing to do with stadiums or soccer teams or football teams or anything else. You know what we got to do?
What? Tell me, please.
One thing we're not doing, and I said it to Alex earlier today. I said, we got to get this kid. His name is Chad Bible. He's a player on the baseball team who's battling cancer right now. And did I read that he got his first extra base hit since his treatment started just recently?
Yes, that was it last night or Sunday? Last night.
This young man has one of the most amazing stories that is not being told in college sports. And we got to get this kid on, and we've got to follow what I'm sure will be a very inspirational journey.
Absolutely.
We got to start covering this young man. What do you think about that?
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Be all for it.
Yeah, be a good story to tell. I know people would get behind this guy. Hey, JD, thanks for all the candor this afternoon, and thanks for the time. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks, JD.
I appreciate it, guys.